All right. So when it comes to Cloud Opus 4.7, in terms of my use cases, I feel like it's a regression. The first reason why I feel like it's a regression is it's become a lot lazier in terms of like I give it a task and it just does not complete the damn task. I split things up into chunks and phases, especially with the planning. Um, and it just does things half-assed, or it like, even though I have things in a orderly fashion, right? Like you do this first and this first, right? With the plan, it it for some reason it's constantly recommending a speedy decision making. Like this will take longer, but if I do this, it will be quicker. Or you know what I mean? So it keeps prioritizing the easiest thing to do, but not necessarily the correct thing to do, despite me giving it correct like instructions, right? So by that, it's lazier. It'll start something, do it partially, and then do the next easiest thing. Or if I do tell it to do one thing, it will just stop and say, I think that's enough for a day, for today, which 4.6 never done before. The other reason why it's a regression is it just doesn't follow instructions at all. I'll have clear cut rules, and it will just neglect it all. I might have to start actually getting into I might have to start getting into the hooks and stuff like that, because I've only done like a single QA hook, because when it comes to like front end stuff, it will just like I will test stuff and it would just be strange, like randomly it wouldn't do one single thing. So I messed around with like a QA hook, but I still had to run it, you know what I mean? So I haven't figured out what are, like, I mean, I guess I don't know if it's a hook or a command. I don't know. I might have to like look into a bit more, because at least with 4.6 I didn't have to do as much. With 4.7 I have to be a lot more hand holdy, you know. But in terms of just making sure it does things, you know what I mean? Like one thing I would say when it comes to like interacting with these AI models or vibe coding or cloud coding is that yes, I had to learn to be a bit more, because I'm not a career programmer or anything. I can't even get a programming job, so I do this for my free time. It's a great way to express creativity. But what I'm trying to get at though with like Opus 4.7, um, even if I know what I wanted to do, I have to figure out how to ensure it actually does that and listens. Um, I did not have to do as much with 4.6 because it would actually listen. The other thing is 4.7 is slow as hell. It takes way longer to do something. It's constantly reading the project over and over again. It's like, I'm like, bro, like, I have a memory folder. You already did it once. Like, what are you doing? The next reason why it's definitely a regression to me is it started doing things that I have never experienced before, bro. Like, you know, project organization has been terrible. And even when I like told like I could do it myself, but I was like, it's too much work. I mean, I'm not literally too much work, but like organization uses a lot of like mental RAM for me. I have to think about like I'm making this folder, I'm grouping these things up, blah blah blah. To me, it uses up a lot of mental RAM in terms of organization. So even when I get it to like organize things by domain, right? Because it wouldn't do it otherwise. It would just throw everything into a damn fucking maze. The other issue is that I have a data I've been taking, like, for example, I'm making like a Vampire Survivors clone, right? But I've been using an ECS system and taking more of a data centric approach. Bro, I have never had an issue when it comes to like JSON and since I'm using TypeScript, like types and definitions and stuff like that. It has done some weird ass shit that I have never seen. Like it wouldn't, like for example, um, like one of the issues is that it would hard code things, even though I clearly told it not to hard code things. No matter what I've done, bro, like I have to audit it or have it or use the QA, audit command because it would hard code things despite me telling it put that into JSON, right? Because it's a game and I have to edit the JSON in order to like, get the balancing right and whatnot. Now, am I a perfect developer? No, but I think with AI and programming is, and from what I've seen and what I've seen from like the source code leaks for these games, hell, even Claude Code is, you know, everyone's kind of the same. Everyone's figuring shit out, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters, it works technically, right? But the reason I even did a data oriented approach is because I could just follow the data flow and figure things out. Where is it stopping? Like, and it makes debugging for me a lot easier. Bro, who knows how challenging it could be if you have like object oriented programming and you give Opus control and it does some of that strange lobotomized shit, you know. And so it starts hard coding values. It starts putting JSON in the not like where it's not supposed to, right? And it's not putting it in the data folder. It starts writing TypeScript types in the folder where there's nothing TypeScript there. There's only other JSON files, and it's writing TypeScript files there. Strange, you know what I mean? The other thing is that even though one thing I told it, I'm using ASCII, right? Because I realized that, hey, if I use actual assets, Claude starts being a weirdo, right? So I've been using ASCII, but then it does this strange ass shit. Instead of like, having the symbols in, pointing to it in a JSON file, and then I went on game programming patterns. I use a singleton. Bro, I sat down and I had to start reading books because I was like, what the hell are you doing, bro? Like, I said, this shit is weird. So I had to sit down and like figure out a way to counteract this weirdness. So I think it was just like, whatever. I might be confusing it. Whatever. I'm just learning this. I'm studying it right now. But I think it was like a singleton, because I wanted the data in one single place, right? That everything could read from. But guess what happened, right? So I was trying to refactor my code base, get rid of that shit. But what this asshole does is that instead of doing that, it just reads the data and says, okay, this is an exclamation point, right? Well, it hard codes the exclamation point for, let's say, the main character, but then it hard codes the exclamation point in the UI and in all the cards. So it goes through and it hard codes it. So if I change the symbol is not changing throughout the project. It's just changing where I changed it. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Because I've never experienced that before. And yeah, I may have taken it for granted, but I was like, whoa, what is going on? And I had to be like all detective and shit just to figure out where is this weirdness coming from, because it should not be happening. So that's kind of like the other thing. But all in all, though, like Claude Opus 4.7 has most definitely been a regression. And I mean, it is what it is, though. There's not much I can really do. Um, it's just the way of the game. All I can really say is get good and either learn more or just suck it up, bro. Like there's nothing else I could do. Even if I put it in auto mode, it's not even in auto mode because it still stops before the job is done. Hell, I have created a memory folder mostly for my sake. I kept my Cloud MD short. I think it was the guidance was like under 200 or something like that. I don't even know, bro. Like, um, but I'm probably like gonna study up on it a little bit, see if I'm underutilizing some features. I don't really care too much about like the skills or MC. I don't know. My experience, that shit's just clutter. To be honest, like all these skills and MCP, to me, it's just like. I mean, you could definitely have some stuff, but you kind of have to. It's kind of like you kind of have to like lead the ship. I mean, you always should have lead. You should have always led the ship, but man, he makes like I don't know, man. Like it just does some strange stuff. Is lazy, doesn't want to work. And I know it sounds so funny saying it out loud because, I mean, can't you say that about me, right? I'm having Claude type up the code and shit like that. So, I mean, it is what it is, though. It's not too terrible, though, just because, as long as I could keep, I don't feel too overwhelmed. It's all right. As long as I could, like, still figure out issues and clear them up, it's all right. But the moment I just can't, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Then it's fucked. Thank God I don't like, man, I don't know how people who do like these object oriented programming projects are getting by because, man, like behavior hidden in objects, man. Like, because I know what, so all these objects are like owning their own behavior and stuff like that. It must be like a maze, man. It must be like a maze. Now, I guess if you're like way more advanced and stuff like that, it's definitely different. But like, man, oh, because the other thing is like, I mean, I guess if it's like an enterprise or like a business application, yeah, it might be a little bit different. But if you're doing something like sort of creative, shit gets weird, man. Shit gets weird because now you have all these variable names and functions that Claude may have not been trained on. You know what I'm? Because the other thing is, I like my things another way, bro. Like I like my naming conventions in a way that makes more sense to me. Like all my variable names, and then when you start giving me these industry terms, I'm like, ew. Let me change that. Like, why do I have to call this? What if I don't want to? But I've been having to budge though because if I give something, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of something. I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's like 12:30 in the morning, 12:40 in the morning. I got work tomorrow. I don't know. I just had to clock in, speak my mind on it. But very strange, super half-assed. But Bester is, so I suck it up because I mean, all the other models are worse. All I can really do is just get good, get better. Um, and then, if these models really get super, super shitty, I have to be good enough that, hey, I can use one of these open source models and it works for me. You know what I mean? That's like, so that's currently, it's like a race against time, man. I would definitely say, um, like I hope not. I hope it lasts a little bit longer, but I hope like this right now we might be in the golden age of. I mean, I don't want to say the golden age of AI. Maybe like this state of AI. You know what I mean? because these models are always gonna get better. But who knows, man? Like with the thing with GitHub, who knows? We might be nearing the end of like cheap models for consumers and whatnot. Um, and you know, I think, I mean, there's still gonna be some stuff for consumers, like these open source models and whatnot, but they're not Claude. They're not Claude though. You know what I mean? At least with Claude, something will work eventually. You know what I mean? Something. Would it be the way I wanted it to? No. Will it actually work? Maybe not, but it will look like it worked though. It will look like it worked. And then from there I could have figured things out. But like, I mean, Codex is not bad, but like with, for example, Codex, I think Codex is pretty decent. But with Codex though, um I think I have to be even more handholdy and more precise, because I mean, Codex definitely has its own quirks. But I will say though, when it comes, nothing like, I definitely love Claude for um I love Claude for like coding. I tried testing out Claude for like brainstorming and stuff like that. I don't know, in my experience, um ChatGPT has been a lot more useful in terms of like brainstorming and getting things to explain stuff in a way I can understand, because the way, I don't know, bro, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna have to mess around with Claude a bit more, but when I use Claude to like explain textbook stuff, it still turns out boring and uninteresting, and not in a way that makes sense with my brain. At least maybe because I have enough like conversation history with GPT, and it has a bit more like, you know, leeway and customization in terms of like personality and whatnot. It does a pretty decent job. I've been having it like rewrite some books for me, because when it comes to books, man, these people just keep going on and on about their lives, and I'm like, bro, I don't care. Like, I trust you. I'm reading your book, man. Like, I trust you. You don't have to prove your trust. You don't have to prove the value of your book to me. I trust you. If I'm even giving your book a shot, I trust you. Stop giving me your credentials. You know what I mean? Stop telling me when you realize this. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? And these books are like filled with that shit, man. So far, my favorite books that I have read, in terms of like, when it comes to game programming, you know, at first I read like a few of these game design books, and they kept going on and on about feelings and players, and I'm like, bro, I don't care how y'all feel. You know what I mean? Because I was like, in my head, I'm like, I'm the target audience, bro. Like, I'm making a game that I can play, entertain myself. You know what I'm saying? That's really the whole point. Why? Because these games don't scratch an itch for me. And also, I don't have a PC anymore, so all I have is my phone games, itch.io games, whatever games that have Mac support on Steam. Sorry. Which is barely any. So I'm just making games I could entertain myself. I don't. These mobile games don't scratch an itch for me, because they're all a little too predatory for me. And also, like, they all have like their season pass and whatnot. And all in all, though, like, I'm trying to scratch an itch for myself, and that's kind of like the reason why I'm even getting into it. But anyways, I lost track. So what I'm trying to say though is that when it comes to like the programming, it's the only programming books that, I mean, game design books that I liked turned out to be game programming patterns, because it was mad lean, got straight to the point. I also liked philosophy for software engineering. There's another book that I'm gonna start. It's like computational something something. I don't know. I just remember he goes on and on about using this kernel language because with the kernel language, he's able to explain all the different paradigms. Some textbook, but it was my favorite textbook though because a little of the too many of these books dive a little too much into like syntax and stuff and are a little too bound to a like programming language when I'm like, bro, just help me understand the concepts, you know what I mean? The big overarching pictures. Give me a way to like understand all programming languages because there's patterns and then they're all bound by the same shit. I try to read I try to read how to design programs, kind of boring. I think it was using Racket and some shit. The other book was I try to read was SICP, structured interpret something. I don't know, it's SICP, but I'm like, bro, boring. Why, bro? These books are so boring, bro. Like, y'all make me not want to get into it. Like, um, listen, some people be out here saying they absolutely hate programming and stuff like that now. Well, for me, I love using AI, bro. Like, I love using AI to build shit, bro. And it doesn't even have to be super perfect, bro. Like, I could be looking at a tree and then I'm like, whoa, let me go build an app, right? A habit app where each successful loop is like a tree ring or some shit like that, right? And then I have it build something quick, and then I look at it, and I have something, and then I'm like, this shit is ass. Next, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I love it. Like, and then if it's something like that intrigues me, I just add it to like my never-ending list of projects that I'm going to do. But right now, as it turns out, though, I have not completed anything. Why? Because, bro, completing projects is actually kind of hard. Like, I understand now. Like, I've read or I've read this and I also seen some videos though, but like, you know, the first half of a project is fast, it's smooth, it's very fun. The second half of a project, once you actually have something, totally different beast, man. Totally different beast, bro. Like, it's like I think I got addicted to like the honeymoon phase of software building, at least with these AI models, because the first half great, second half it's like one, it might, like, I mean I definitely got better just because I had a bit more focus on like systems and whatnot. But bro, like, the second half of a project gets challenging because now you're kind of constrained to what you built before. Uh, you now have to see if anything's been coupled. You know, you see if there's anything that reference other domains and whatnot. And if you're doing AI, if AI is building it, chances are there's gonna be like some smells in the code. I don't know. I only learned that recently from like going on the refactoring.guru website, and I was just like looking through because I said, you know, you have to adapt, bro. You have to adapt. You know, 4.7, gotta adapt, right? So I don't know what I'm saying, but that's it. End of story. Gemini though. Whew, I don't know, bro. Gemini is so trash, bro. I have not figured out where Gemini provides even okay, I'm lying. Image generation. I haven't tested out video. Image generation. I like the Notebook LM, but what I realized with Notebook LM though, I have to give it clean notes and text because otherwise it sucks. So I haven't been using it because I was like, let me just throw in my books, hear the podcast. But now I'm like hearing a bunch of shit that don't matter, you know. So you can't. That's another thing with these books, man. You kind of just need to read the books to fill in your blind spots and your gaps. And AI can't tell you your blind spots or your gaps. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what you don't know. Same. So that's, sometimes you have to sit down and learn new vocabulary. I might have to sit down and new vocabulary. I've been having to like be like, bro, I have to sit down and read some like user experience, some UX UI books, just so I could get better at telling it I want this and be more precise. Because 4.7, I don't know what word is it to describe it. I guess it's less intuitive or whatnot. But yeah, that's all like. I don't know, man. It just seems like it is trying to save energy at all costs. You know what I'm saying? And so if it's saving energy, then I have to up the energy that I do. So yeah, that's all I really gotta say. Yeah, nothing much. I just want to speak my mind. That's it. Bye.